Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Paleo Springs State Park. It feels good to be back. It's been a few weeks since we have seen this park here, this series, and you may be asking yourself, you may notice, this doesn't look like Paleo Springs, and I will get to that. So what happened was I was doing some thinking, and originally when I started this series, I wanted the park of Paleo Springs to be a challenge park. And obviously, those first few episodes, we didn't do that. It wasn't a challenge park. So I wasn't happy with that, so I had to restart. I remade it in a sandbox, or not sandbox, in a challenge park rather than a sandbox like it was. And so now it is a challenge park, and so now we are going to be going through and doing things a little bit differently. What you're seeing me build here is a Coelophysis house, or a Coelophysis enclosure. This is the very first animal that we are putting in this park, and I'm very excited about it. I absolutely love the Coelophysis. I think it is a wonderful dinosaur. And it, in my opinion, is a perfect addition to Paleo Springs here. I always like to have the Coelophysis right at the beginning of the park. If you've watched Leaf's tutorial on how to build a perfect zoo, or quote unquote for Planet Zoo, you'll notice that he talks about in there about having an animal up front that is, quote, a proud species. And what that basically means is a species that is loud and boisterous and can draw people in. Coelophysis, I don't think is very loud and boisterous, but it's an interesting one. And I like to start my parks with Coelophysis because it is a very early dinosaur. So Coelophysis was a dinosaur from the early Triassic period. Yes, early Triassic period? Late Triassic period. Sorry, looking at my notes here. At the late Triassic period, this is a dinosaur that is one of the earliest dinosaurs that we know of. Obviously, in this game, we only have two dinosaurs from the Triassic, and that is the Coelophysis and the Plateosaurus. Now, we will be putting in the Plateosaurus here eventually into this park. But yeah, so what you're seeing me do here is I am building in a separate location. And I've decided that one of the things that I want to do is steal a idea from ZSH Plays on his Planet Zoo series. And I want to give you all tips for the challenge mode, for this franchise mode here. So that's actually my very first tip to you, is to build in a map that is not your challenge park map. And that might sound kind of silly. It might sound like it's cheating. Maybe it is cheating. Who knows? But what this does is it allows you to build free of restrictions, free of restraints, and allows you to sort of get the juices flowing before you actually, put something in a set location to be built. And so what we're doing here is I have a blueprint map, quote unquote. You'll see off in the distance some colored circles and squares. That's a tip for another day, but basically what that is a size guide that I've downloaded off of Steam, and it basically gives you a rough estimate of the sizes for the habitats that you will be creating for all of the dinosaurs here. All the dinosaurs, or well, prehistoric animals that is, have specific size requirements for their habitats. And Coelophysis is no different. This habitat here, I think, is around, oh boy, what was it? I'm not looking at it right now in the game, so it's, I think, 500, 600 square meters, something like that. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. But it's around there, and what this enclosure is bigger than that. I always like to go a little bit bigger than what their standard size requirement is. Again, sort of bigger the better, in my opinion, when it comes to animal husbandry. It's always better to build a bigger enclosure than to have one that is too small. So for Coelophysis, what I wanted to do here was, again, make a completely enclosed building. One that has a backstage area that I'm building right now out of just simple, good old concrete. We don't need to make it too crazy here. Good concrete is just good enough. But what I am doing here, what I love, are these staff gates. These staff gates are incredible. I wish that Planet Zoo had these, and I know that in every single episode I've said I wish Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster has one thing or another thing. I wish that they had this. I wish that they had staff gates that were so good like this in this game. And honestly, the staff gates in this game you can have multiples of them. And that, again, is something that you can't do in Planet Zoo and is completely unrealistic. So in a normal zoo, you would have dozens and dozens of gates, not dozens and dozens, but you would have multiple entrances to a habitat there. So like you can see here on the screen, we have an entrance into this little tiny inside area so the keepers can clean inside there. And then we have an entrance to the quote unquote outside area of this habitat where the keepers can go in and clean that habitat once the animals are locked away here in the back. Hence that other little door with nothing on it right now. I will be building a quote-unquote airlock for that door here. I love doing that in all of my builds just to add realism. And again, if you download these from the Steam Workshop, they are completely functional. So you can go in and if you have your dinosaurs back here, you can pause the game and pop into the build mode for this building here. And you can actually select one single thing and drop down that door. I love doing this in all of the games that I can. This one is so easy to do it with. Planet Zoo, it takes a few more pieces, but thankfully in Prehistoric Kingdom, because of the scaling mode, it's just so easy. You can scale everything perfectly however you want. This is another thing that I love doing here, just the backstage areas. I love making these areas cluttered. I love making them not dirty necessarily, but just filled with stuff, with a reasonable amount of stuff. The idea being that you want to make this area feel lived in, like there are keepers that are actually working here. This is an important thing here to put hoses. How else are the keepers going to clean a exhibit? But it's also important to note too that I always put them on the outside of where the animals are going to be. That is a crucial piece in any real world zoo. The hoses and the things that the animals could get a hold of and tear up or maybe choke on, or something like that. It is so important to put those outside of the enclosure area there. So I always put a hose on the outside there. Here I am dropping in a little tiny Coelophysis. I absolutely love them. And I'm playing around with the door to get the heights correct on there so that they can walk through, but the keepers can't. Spoiler alert, I did see a keeper walk through this little door. Again, what are you going to do? It's not a completely real simulation of a game, which is totally fine for me. But it is kind of silly that they can walk through and not really have any sort of repercussions there. So here I am building that airlock here. Again, it's super simple. If you download this and want to close that gate, you can just pop in and select that little metal door and just press V. press V for the advanced control, like you see here on screen, and then you can just drop it down, just straight down, and it actually closes it off so that the dinosaurs cannot pass through this area of the habitat if you want to close it off for whatever reason. Next week we'll be seeing another build that I'm doing in this game, and I do the same thing. I tried to make it a little bit different. Oh, yes, before I forget. So this building looks very, very modern. So again, going back to the changes that we're making to Paleo Springs, part of the, I guess, preamble, you would say, that spiel that I had in the first episode there about the backstory, the history of Paleo Springs as a state park, or a county park, or whatever you have it, is that it was owned by the state, but now it is owned by a private company. And so what I did in changing this to a challenge park is I kept the base building that it gives you, the base entrance building, because Critivo, they really went hard, like way harder than they needed to on these buildings here for the entrances, and they are just so superb that I left it, partially because I'm jealous of the details. I could never do anything that is that crazy detailed. I mean, I do get a little bit detailed here and there, but it's not like them. So anyway, I left that, and my backstory that I am giving that is the Buchanan house. So again, if you go back to that first episode and you watch it, you'll know that this used to be Buchanan Springs State Park before it was purchased. And my headcanon, I guess, is that that building there is the Buchanan house. So that Jasper Buchanan, he set up shop here in Paleo Springs, or Buchanan Springs back then, to just chill out here in this beautiful little area. And then when it was purchased, that was turned into a historical site and left there. But the rest of the building style, I would imagine this genetics company that owns the park would want it to be modern. They would want it to be fresh. They would want to try to attract all age groups here to this park. And yes, there is a certain charm to the rustic build, and I am using a lot of the rustic theme pieces here and textures. I absolutely love them, but my building style, quite frankly, I am just not that good when it comes to rustic. I've tried playing around. You all saw me build 2 entrances. And yeah, so it's not easy for me. We will be going back to the entrance in a much, 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 much later episode. I promise it is not the next episode. It is not any episode in the near future. It'll be next year before we touch the entrance again. But again, I left the main entrance that the game came with for this park and just switched around a few things. I will be building a parking lot off screen, but we're going to jump into the live play in a little bit here, and I will talk about, or I'll show you some of the things that we did and show you what is different in this park. So with that being said, I'm going to leave you all with the foliage here in this park, and we're going to circle back when the live play happens. All right, so here we are back in Paleo Springs here, everybody. And you can see it's nighttime, and I can't control that because, again, this is a challenge park. So this does look different, but it is similar to what we had. So this big square right here, this is where our parking lot's going to be, where we're going to redo that entrance. This is that original entrance building that came with the game. And so that is, yeah, I kept that. That's going to be the sort of quote unquote Buchanan house there, our historic building, which I actually really like. Here is the spring. We will be doing a whole episode on making this spring look real and look a lot better than it is now. But let's actually pop into the park here. So, fun fact about this building, it doesn't actually come with these entrances. I had to add them. I don't know if that was a missed thing by Critivo or what, but yeah, so I added those to it. Changed the name to our beautiful Paleo Springs State Park. I absolutely love that. This is a much better sign than I could have made. I mean, it blew me away when they had the little rivets here holding these two signs together. Yeah, I mean, they went above and beyond with all of this stuff here. And it's way better than anything that I could have done. So I left it, and we're going to use it. All right, so we're going to walk a little bit faster than that. And when you come on through, we have our main street. Now, these are the restroom, the shop, and the restaurant here. These are all stock. These are made by Critivo. They are not made by me. We're going to be doing episodes in the future remaking these, but what I wanted was this footprint. So if you did not know, every single prefab building that Critivo has made for this game now comes with a standard prefab layout. So it doesn't matter the theme, it doesn't matter the size. I may have to double check on that, but the idea being that if you wanted to replace this building with another building, you could very easily just delete it and it would fit perfectly right into this little plot of land. And I absolutely love that. So we're going to be remaking these. But again, they're gorgeous. These are really nice buildings. So we'll pop over here to the staff area. This is that same staff area that we had in the original park, or the original entrance there. I broke this off, and I believe I actually uploaded that to Steam, so you can go and download just that backstage area if you want just that. And I also separated out just the parking lot as well. I don't know that I put that on Steam. I'll double check, and I'll let you guys know the next episode. Over here, because this is a challenge park, we got to be making money, and right now we have $90,000. So what we have over here is the absolutely gorgeous Panthera atrox, the American cave lion. We will be doing an episode in the future on them, but our very next episode that we're going to be releasing is actually for these beautiful creatures, for our Smilodon populator. These guys are amazing. These are the South American species of saber-toothed tiger, or Smilodon. I hate the term saber-toothed tiger, just a personal thing. But that'll be the next episode, doing the Smilodon enclosure there. Yeah, so let's actually have a look at this Coelophysis house. So I added lights to it, and I added donation boxes to it. And again, that is on the prefab that you can download from Steam right now. I also realized that I did not put any water bowls in there, or any water faucets. So there's one in there now. It has everything that you would need to have it be completely functional in challenge mode or in sandbox. So you come in here, and we have a absolutely gorgeous view of our little Coelophysis right there. Yeah, this is probably my favorite view. I put these little decals here on the windows to act as a sort of bird guard, I guess, so that birds don't fly into the window or that the Coelophysis doesn't run into the window there. You can kind of see that there's a little bit of delineation from inside and outside the habitat. Um, this is probably one of my favorite views, though, just because of that tunnel, that log there leading off in this direction. And then all of these rocks here, what I wanted to do was create a sort of uh, dry riverbed. And I think it kind of gets the point across. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments on whether it gets the point across or not. Coelophysis, where it is found mostly in New Mexico and Arizona. Um, the paleo record of that sort of area was that it had a mix between dry and super wet conditions. And so what I wanted to do here was make this seem like it was, this sort of coastal coniferous forest with the pine trees in here. I did have to add a little bit more foliage. So side note, if you decide to download this and use it in your park, um, there is a little bit more foliage that I put in here aside that is not in the Steam Workshop. Again, just for you to know if you go into it. But yeah, so I wanted to make this feel like a shaded little forest where maybe this family group of Coelophysis live, and eventually, once we get on ontogeny, hopefully will nest in this enclosure here. And they've chosen this area because it's shaded and secluded, and during the wet seasons there's even a little river that flows through here. Now obviously left it dry again just for the purposes of aesthetics here, but I really love this. I think it worked out really well. We'll pop into the exhibit here. No, we won't pop into the exhibit. I always hate when people do that in their speed build walkthroughs. Oh, look at that. He's in the insects. Nice. Very cool. I love that. All right, so we'll swing around now. We'll go through the staff entrance that, spoiler alert, none of the staff use because the staff pathing is still crazy in this game, and they don't actually use the paths that you set aside for staff. But yeah, you come in here, and again, we have this little delineation here of the area where the keeper can go and where the animals are. And so again, we have these wonderful little Coelophysids here. I think he's technically inside the habitat. I won't worry about that. But yeah, you can see they come in here, they nest. They have their food and water in here, but we really only have the enrichment out in the actual enclosure. And again, I like to do that because this way the keepers can come in here, they can prepare the food, they can watch the animals. If you need to quarantine one from the other animals here, typically in a real zoo you would do that in a completely separate location. But for the sake of this park, say they wanted to take one of these and quarantine them back here, you could, and you would just put food out here for the rest of them. Yeah, I absolutely love this. We have the rhododendron here. This is the flowerless version, which I actually like a whole lot more than the flowered version. And because it is challenge, you have to have dung beetles. You don't have to. Now that we have keepers, you don't have to. But I love having the keepers. Oh, okay. Hello. Okay, yeah, I think he's in the enclosure. Anyway, yeah, you don't have to have dung beetles now because of the keepers, but I like to have them. I think they're cool. I think it's a really cool addition, and they don't have that in Planet Zoo or anything like that. So I really like that is a thing. So yeah, this is where I'm going to leave it off for this episode. Again, in the next episode, we're going to be building the Smilodon enclosure, one of my favorite animals in the game. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you like the change to challenge mode? Do you like the changes that we are making to the park here? Do you like the Coelophysis house? What would you do different? Let me know what your favorite dinosaur is. A lot of questions, a lot of thoughts, but that is where I'm going to leave it. And again, thank you so much for watching. There is a million things you could have been doing today, and you chose to spend it here with me for just a little bit of your day. So thank you for that. All right, I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.